we were talking yesterday whether or not the teachers knew about these funds and how invested they were. They're now asking for divestments, but how easy is that?
So they haven't gone so far as to say we want to divest yet. What they're saying so far is that we're frustrated with this. We didn't necessarily know about this. The president of the association there did say that she felt that a lot of people might be sickened by this. So they haven't made a formal call for divestment, and part of the reason they haven't done that is because the teachers themselves don't actually have the power to do so. This is a fund that's run by a committee, so it's really up to the trustees to do that, and that includes Rick Scott, who's the governor, Pam Bondi in Florida, the attorney general. So it's really kind of a difficult change. And I think the reason people didn't know is, we all get our 401k statements. There's all those line items. You don't necessarily go through them all. It's hard to really know what you're invested in sometimes.
Some endowments, some pension funds have divested out of these and other maybe more controversial stocks. Has it been easier? Have we seen any other situations like this where you need a governor to be involved or, a state leader?
Well, so in 2012, after the tragic events at Sandy Hook, we did see the CalSTRS move to do this. So it was quite easy for them to immediately move $3 million in stock out. What was more complicated was dealing with their hedge fund that was managing their money, Cerberus, because they owned a firearms company, Remington. Yes. And that took till 2015 in order to complete. So it isn't something you can do overnight in a lot of these cases. It might be a long, drawn-out process, and it would certainly take a lot of movement from the teachers, a lot of organization among the teachers to really say, we want out. And in Florida, which is truly a purple state, that might not necessarily happen.
So what exactly do they own, and how are these stocks reacting now that we have President Trump coming into the debate?
So they own the four major stocks, which is AOBC, Vista Outdoor, Strum Ruger, and Olin Corp, which manufactures ammunition rather than firearms. And we have seen these stocks really down since Donald Trump became president. It's just not what a lot of the manufacturers were expecting, certainly not what a lot of the company was expecting. It was for a Republican Congress and a Republican president. When there's not any fear of gun control, there's not the same kind of frantic buy on firearms. It's a little bit slower for the industry.
Talk to us about bump stocks, because there are a couple, mostly private though, right? Private companies?
That's right. So bump stocks are really kind of a niche accessory item, but they came to national recognition after the tragic events in Las Vegas. The gunman there is accused of having used a number of these devices in the shooting, and they basically make a semi-automatic firearm fire at the rate of an automatic firearm, which is much faster. So it can unfortunately cause much more carnage in events like Vegas. So the president is calling for a ban on these items, and the second that happened on secondary auction sites, we saw prices double, in some cases triple, for bump stocks.
Are there many companies that make them? Sorry.
There's not a ton of companies that make them, and they do tend to be smaller companies. One of the larger is out of Texas. I believe, they do millions in sales, but when you compare it to a company that might do billions in sales, it's really not that much for the firearms industry.
What are industry leaders saying right now?
I think industry leaders are definitely looking to see what happens with President Trump. They want to see how this pans out. I think a lot of people were not expecting this from the president, given his close relationship with the NRA in the past. So I think everyone's kind of just waiting for the next shoe to drop. They really want to know what actually comes out of his statements.